Good day everyone, my name is Teacher Claire. Welcome to another lesson on assessment of learning. In our previous lesson, we discussed about reliability of instruments. Today, we will discuss about DepEd policy guidelines on assessment. The learning objectives for this lesson are to explain the K-12 basic education program and its grading components. Second, demonstrate knowledge and skills in computing students' grades using the two DepEd orders. First, we have some review of the concepts that we previously learned, which were discussed in DepEd Order Number 8, Series of 2015 Policy Guidelines. When we say classroom assessment, we are referring to a process of identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about what learners understand and can do. This is the main reason why teachers need to conduct assessment. Otherwise, there will be difficulty in identifying whether learning took place. In addition, we also learned that formative assessment is a process of gathering evidences of students' learning performance to inform people and improve teachers' teaching. It is expected that through this process, students will take responsibility of their own learning. Another important concept that you learn before is summative assessment. This type of assessment is administered toward the end of the learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies, the results for which are recorded and are used to report the learner's achievement. We also learn about grading. This is a means of reporting assessment data by assigning value to the results as a record of students' ability, achievement, or progress. Later in this video, we will discuss more of this. We also have written work as stipulated in DepEd Order Number 8, Series of 2015. It refers to the various tasks whereby students express their skills and contents in a written form. These include quizzes, reaction, reflection papers, journals, assignments, etc. Performance tasks, on the other hand, are assessment activities where learners show what they know and can do in diverse ways. These include multimedia presentations, debates, hand-on exercises, physical activity participation, slogan and poster making, etc. Quarterly assessment, on the other hand, measures students' learning at the end of the quarter. So with regards to performance tasks, DepEd Order Number 31, Series of 2020 highlighted that teachers should ensure that each task must be accompanied with clear directions and appropriate scoring tools. For example, we need to have checklists, rubrics, rating scales, and the like to help learners demonstrate their learning. Second, teachers are advised to collaboratively design the implemented performance tasks that integrate two or more competencies within or across subject areas. Third, learners must be given flexibility in the accomplishment of the performance task to consider time and resources available to them. Nonetheless, all learners should be assessed on the same competencies using the same scoring tool. Moreover, the DepEd subsumes the following principles. Assessment and grading should have a positive impact on learning. This indicates that learning strategies are appropriately utilized to create encouraging teaching learning process. Next, assessment should be holistic and authentic in capturing the attainment of the most essential learning competencies. Third, assessment is integral for understanding student learning and development. Thus, it must be carefully executed whether it is done synchronously or asynchronous mode of teaching. A variety of Assessment strategies are necessary with formative assessment, taking priority to inform teaching and promote growth and mastery. So let's proceed with the planning of the assessment. So under this, teachers should bear in mind that all assessment activities should be aligned with the most essential learning competencies. They should be reliable, valid, and transparent. Likewise, assessment activities must be fair, inclusive, and equitable. It should be practical, manageable for both learners and teachers. Then, it should give learners a range of ways to demonstrate their learning. And finally, it must provide timely and accurate information as basis for feedback. This time, we will differentiate DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020 from DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015 specifies the various components of the summative assessment such as the written work, performance task, and quarterly assessment, which will form as basis for the grade computation. Here's the grading components for grades 1 to 10. We have the written work under language, AP, and ESP. Written work is 30%, performance task 50%, quarterly assessment 20%. For science and math, the written work will have 40%, performance task 40%, and quarterly assessment to be 20%. For the MAPE, EP, and TLE, we have 20% for the written work, 60% for performance task, and 20% for quarterly assessment. However, in DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020, quarterly assessments will no longer be part of the grading system. So here's the weight distribution of the summative components per learning area for grades 1 to 10. So we have for language, AP, and ESP, written work will be 40%, performance task 60%. For the weights of science and math, 50% for written works and 50% for performance tasks. Then for the MAPE, EPP, and TLE, we have 30% for written works and 70% for the performance tasks. This time, let's proceed to the grading components for senior high school under DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. Here are the various components. So you can see here that we have the various weights under written work, performance task, and quarterly assessment with other subjects and with technical, vocational, and livelihood, sports, arts, and the design track. But you will notice that under DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020, this quarterly assessment will no longer be part of the grading system. Instead, we only have written works to be 40% under the core subjects of senior high school. We also have 60% for performance tasks under core subjects. For the academic tracks, we have now these new weights, and with the tech book and arts and design track, we have different weights. And just like what I've said earlier, quarterly assessment will no longer be part of the grading system. So at this juncture, we will discuss the various steps in computing students' grades. The first part will be grade computation, following DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020, and the second part will be grade computation, following DepEd Order numbers 8 series of 2015. Before we start computing, we must ensure that we follow the percentage allocated for the subject as stipulated in our new DepEd Order. Based on DepEd Order 31 series of 2020, we compute students' grade in language by following these steps. Step 1. We get the total for each component. In this example, we have the highest possible score in the first column, And then we got 77 as the student's total score by adding all the written scores of the students. Step 2. We divide the total raw score, which is 77, by the highest possible score, which is 85. Then multiply the quotient by 100. The result is 90.59 as the percentage score. Step 3. We then convert percentage score to weighted scores by multiplying the percentage score, which is 90.59, by the weight of the component, which is 0.40 as is indicated in the DepEd order, and the result is 36.24. Same mechanics is done with the performance task. We add all scores, which is 59. We then solve for the percentage score, dividing 59 by 75 times 100. That's why we have 78.67 as the percentage score. We then convert this to weighted score by multiplying 78.67 by 0.60. This percentage score was based from the DepEd order, hence we have 47.20. Step 5, we add the weighted scores of each component. So as we add 36.24 plus 47.20, the result is 83.44, which is now our initial grade. And finally, we transmute the initial grade using the transmutation table provided by the DepEd order. For this example, the transmuted grade is 89. As mentioned earlier, under the new DepEd order, quarterly assessment will no longer be part of the grading system. By the way, in the computation, you will notice that I provided an additional column to show you that there's 1 point difference in the grade computation once you immediately round off the percentage score to whole number. Let's now proceed to another example, this time for mathematics subject as stipulated in our DepEd order. Both mathematics and science will have 50% allocation for written work and 50% for performance tasks. We follow similar steps except for the conversion of percentage score to weighted score. So for step 1, we get the score of each component. In this example, we got 77 as the student's total score by adding all the written scores of the students. Step 2, we divide the total raw score, which is 77, by the highest possible score, which is 85. Then multiply the quotient by 100. The result is 90.59 as the percentage score. Step 3, we convert percentage scores to weighted scores by multiplying the percentage score, which is 90.59, by the weight of the component, which is 0.50, and the result is 45.29. Same mechanics is done with the performance task. We all add the scores, which is 59. We then solve for the PS by dividing 59 by 75 times 100. That's why we have 78.67 as the percentage score. We convert this to weighted score by multiplying 78.67 by 0.50. Hence, we have 39.34. For step 4, we add the weighted score of each component. So, as we add 45.29 plus 39.34, and the result is 84.63, which is now our initial grade. Step 5, we transmute the initial grade using the transmutation table provided by the DepEd order. For this example, the transmitted grade is 90. As mentioned earlier, under the new DepEd order, quarterly assessment will not be part of the grading system. Same process is done in computing for the MAPE, EP, and PLE. They only differ in the percentage allocation or its weight, that is 30% for the written work and 70% for the performance task. Same with other subjects, quarterly assessment will not be part of the grading system. So let's now proceed to the old version, and that is the DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. Following this order, we have 3 components with different weights. If we will compute an English or language grade, we follow these percentages: 30% for the written work, 50% for the performance task, and 20% for the quarterly assessment. Just like what we did earlier, we get the total score for each component. In this example, we have the highest possible score in this column. Then we got 145 as students' total score by adding all the written scores of the students. 100 for the performance task and 40 for the quarterly assessment. Step 2, we divide the total row score, which is 145, by the highest possible score, which is 160. Then we multiply the quotient by 100. The result is 90.63 as the percentage score. Same thing with performance task and quarterly assessment. Step 3. We then convert percentage scores to weighted scores by multiplying percentage score, which is 90.63, by the weight of the component, which is 0.30. Multiply it, so we have multiply 83.33 by 0.5, so we have 41.67 for percentage task, and multiply 80 by 0.20 for the quarterly assessment. As indicated in the DepEd order, the result is 27.19. For step 4, we add the weighted scores to each component. So as we add 27.19 plus 41.63 plus 16, the result is 84.85, which is now the initial grade. Finally, for step 5, we transmit the initial grade using the transmutation table provided. For this example, the transmitted grade is 90. So that's all for our lesson on K-12 Basic Education Program and its grading components. So if you are interested to download this presentation, simply click the link in the description box below. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Once again, this is Teacher Claire.